Yamaha's Fabio Quartararo came into 2022 as the reigning world champion, but after pre-season testing, if he was going to retain that title, he'd have to fight seriously hard. When the season opener came around, Yamaha were in the best of shape. As they searched for improvements to their championship-winning M1, a new engine didn't meet expectations, and neither did their chassis improvements. It put them on the back foot, and it showed. Quartararo would race home only to 9th at the very same racetrack where he'd won the season prior, while Morbidelli's 11th place finish was disappointing too. Over at the newly branded With You Yamaha RNF team, Andrea Dovizioso picked up just 2 points in 14th place, as Darren Binder's debut in MotoGP saw him come home in 16th. Over the next few races, there really wasn't much to write home about either. Other than Quartararo's brilliant 2nd place in a rain-soaked Indonesia, and Binder's first Premier Class points with a 10th place finish. But overall, Argentina and America painted the true picture that 2022 was going to be more difficult than first thought. The return to Europe did spark fire in Quartararo though, and a triumphant victory in Portimao was followed by a close second in Jerez. In fact, Portimao started a 6-race run for Fabio, finishing 1st or 2nd, with the only exception being a 4th place at his home GP in France. But the puzzling point for Yamaha was that while they had one rider fighting for podiums and wins, their other riders couldn't get anywhere near him. Citing that a lack of rear grip and constant need to ride on the very limit were ultimately stopping them from being competitive. Andrea Dovizioso was articulate as always when he said that the only way to ride that Yamaha was to ride it like Fabio.
The only way to be fast is to enter so fast. Make the middle of the corner is always quite late because you have to try to gain as much as you can until that point. Frankie is using more angle every time, for a longer time. It's not braking hard, and it's completely opposite than me. If you don't ride like Fabio, it's very difficult to be competitive.
But as it was turning out, that was easier said than done. With 1 round to go before the summer break and a 91-point lead, it already seemed that despite Yamaha's problems, 2022 was Fabio's to lose. But from Assen onwards, Quartararo's title challenge started to unravel.
Oh, he's down! Oh no, Fabio Quartararo's gone down!
After contact with Aleix into turn 4, Quartararo would hand over 25 points of his advantage to the race winner Pecco Bagnaia, and would leave with a bitter taste in his mouth following a lingering long lap penalty that would hang over him until the next race in Silverstone.
We made a bad race, but it is what it is, and we have to learn for the second part of the season.
It proved to be a big factor as MotoGP returned to action. Fabio saw himself slip back, finishing 8th and handing over more crucial championship points to Pecco Bagnaia. Austria was one of the last places where Quartararo was really competitive, and it was a huge surprise. At a place with so many hard accelerating corners and fast straights, the Yamaha was expected to struggle. But somehow, Quartararo came home 2nd, defying what so many thought he could do on that Sunday. But ultimately, it was Pecco that won again. And that didn't change the next week in Misano either, as Fabio struggled to 8th in qualifying and only managed 5th in the race. That was now 4 wins on the spin for Bagnaia, as Fabio saw his lead slashed to just 30 points. After 346 race starts, Andrea Dovizioso called time on a career that spanned over 2 decades. The paddock said ciao to Dovi and thanked him for some of the greatest moments in MotoGP history.
Grazie Dovi for a tremendous Grand Prix career.
Cal Crutchlow stepped in to take over for the remainder of the season and even managed to score points on his return. But the headlines from Yamaha were all about Fabio, who crashed out on lap 1 after contact with Marc Marquez. The championship was slipping away. There was a brief glimpse of hope though in Japan as Pecco Bagnaia crashed out on the last lap. But two disasters followed in Thailand and Australia. Australia was positive though for one Yamaha rider in Darren Binder, who found himself battling for the top 10 early on and managed to score his last points of the season there. Pecco's first match point arrived in Malaysia, but in true champion style, Quartararo did exactly what he needed to, charging from 12th on the grid to a stunning third place. 23 points was the gap ahead of the finale in Valencia, so it was all or nothing for Fabio. Victory was the only way that he could win.
The goal is clear. I have only one goal in the head. Clearly, nothing to lose. So of course I will do my best to do it, fighting for the win. Whatever it happens, it will be a tough season but good one. So I mean, is all in.
Oh, contact!
It's big contact. I think he's lost a wing. Oh, look at this. The two title contenders exchanging paintwork. Quartararo back through.
But a fighting fourth place wasn't enough in the end, and Bagnaia took the title away from Fabio's grasp. There's no doubt that Fabio gave it everything this season, but it seemed that he never quite had the bite to battle with Bagnaia. As Yamaha hope to find more power for 2023, and as Frankie will look to carry on that momentum of his better performances in Malaysia and Valencia, it's back to square one as once again Yamaha find themselves fighting to win back their crown.
Hi, it's Fabio Quartararo. Hope you give us a like and subscribe.